You see they're dry. You see there's no marrow in the bone. You see they're scattered all over the valley. They ain't even full skeletons. I mean, the bones are scattered all over the valley. They're just bones. But answer me a question, Ezekiel. Can these bones live? Ezekiel answers the only way he knows how to answer. Lord, you know. Critical race theory was born out of critical legal theory. Am I teaching y'all something today? There emerged two common beliefs linking all critical race theories. First, white supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's just a fact. How in the world are you going to fight against that being taught in any school? White supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's a fact. Why don't you want that to be taught in school? You let your schools teach us that Columbus discovered America. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that George Washington couldn't tell a lie. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that some slave owners were beneficent and good slave owners. There were no good slave owners. Anybody who owned people was evil. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that Abraham Lincoln was good for Negroes. No, Abraham Lincoln was trying to save the Union. And Abe Lincoln himself said if he could save the Union and keep black people in chains, he would do it. That's a lie. Come on, somebody. You let them teach us about a white Jesus. You let them teach us that Native Americans were the aggressors. Come on, somebody. That white folk had a manifest destiny and that the pilgrims were good to Native Americans. That's a lie. All day, every day, you let them teach us lies. All throughout my history in school, I was taught lies. But you got a problem with critical race theory because it teaches the truth that white supremacy has subordinated black people and people of color. The right to bear arms. Let me just back up a little bit and let me take you on back to the late 1960s when Ronald Reagan was the governor of California. And they were oppressing black folk, and a group of men and women known as the Black Panther Party decided that they were going to defend the rights of black folk. And the Black Panthers decided that the Second Amendment wasn't just for white folk. So they strapped themselves with guns and showed up at the Capitol in California. And when they saw them Negroes with guns, come on, somebody. That's why I say if you ever really want to get gun laws changed, just strap all these Negroes up. They'll change them laws before the week is over. When the Black Panthers, watch this, I want you to read, the California legislator passed what was called the Mulford Act. It was a gun control act that decided who could get guns, who couldn't get guns, what could be in your background, what couldn't be in your background. It was the first time in history that the National Rifle Association, the NRA, supported restrictive gun legislation, all because black folk had the nerve to get strapped. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, go get strapped. Amen, somebody. Y'all gonna say Bishop told us to get strapped. I said it. Go get strapped. It just got real quiet up in here. But y'all already know I'm a triple P. Amen. Y'all know what a triple P is, right? A pistol packing preacher. Amen, somebody.
Okay, Bishop, enjoy the program, sir. Once again, congratulations to you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You're more than welcome.
Peace, family. Oh, happy Friday. Got my jazz popping. Had a little technical glitches in here, but we doing it. Rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Let me see here. Let me get my chat up. There we go. Rep your city, rep your town. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Black Love Experience. All right, let me see if I can get my Twitter space popping. Technology is a wonderful thing, but sometimes it's difficult. All right. Y'all know where to go to. All of those places. Little Coltrane popping right now. I'm gonna see if I can get on Instagram on my regular page again. I doubt it, cause they tripping still. It's been a month, y'all. A whole month. It's absolutely insane that the gram has locked me out from going live for a whole month for no reason. Let's see what happens. I still can't go live. I'm so not surprised. Well, you know the game, y'all. So I'll be on Talbot W Swan #2, because I still can't go live on Talbert Swan. Boy, I tell you. It makes it easier. Don't tease her. Try a little tenderness. Nah, nah, nah. All right, let's go. .90. Good morning. Welcome to the Black Love Experience. I'm your host, Bishop Talbert Swan II. I want to welcome you. Thank God it's Friday, TGIF, to everybody out there coming to the end of your work week. Listen, tomorrow at about 12 noon to 5, Hope Fest 2024. Right there on Alden Street, 35 Alden Street, right there at Six Corners. Food, vendors, games for the children. Bring your cheering out. All right. Entertainment, music. All of just a good time. It's a good time. Come on out and be a part of the festivities. At 3:00 p.m. will be our street naming ceremony. Alden Street being named in honor of yours truly, Bishop Talbert Swan Way. And that'll take place at 3 p.m. So if you want to come celebrate with us, you are more than welcome, and we would love to have you. Tonight is the final night of our Holy Convocation. I'll be preaching this evening at 7 p.m. at the Spring of Hope Church. Come on out. Support your boy. It is the official day of our signature meeting of the year. And we're full throttle in the fall. And if you're looking for a place to worship, check us out. 11:00 a.m. on Sunday. NAACP Freedom Fund, October 17th. It's coming. It's coming. It's creeping up on us. It's coming. Get your tickets. Get your tickets. Go to our Facebook page. Find out all the information. Reverend Siobhan Arline Bradley is our speaker for that evening gala. So come on out and be a part of all of the fun. So Colt Gray, a 14-year-old white boy, murdered 2 students, 2 teachers at the Appalachia School in Georgia. And the conversation since that has been mental health. He's been through a lot. He was a sweet boy, yada, yada, yada. Of course, whenever someone who commits a crime is black, it's all about no daddy in the home, fatherless, black culture, rap music, poor parenting. All of the themes that you never hear talked about with the majority of mass shootings, because the majority of mass shootings are committed by young white males. Why is it? Colt Gray was arrested. He's alive. And so the other question I have is, how come white mass murderers are arrested? They're living. But black unarmed persons that encounter the police get killed. I'm confused at how white boys who just literally murdered multiple people and are armed with AR-15 assault weapons the police manage to always arrest them without harming them, even take them to Burger King. But black unarmed people get killed. Colt Gray, with a weapon, after murdering 4 people and injuring 4 people, gets arrested. But Sonia Massey, with a pot of water, gets shot in the head. Yeah. We're going to talk about that. There's a racial double standard in the American criminal justice system and in the media portrayal. Okay? And we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. 413-736-2781. 413-736-2781 is the number here. Rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you are chiming in from. I already see the 413 rep. I see Charlotte, North Carolina represented. I see Orlando represented. I see Jersey City represented. I see Pennsauken, New Jersey. I see Triple Houston, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Chicago, Illinois represented. Yes, y'all are in here. I see you, Deacon Lovejoy. Rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Tell somebody, tell a friend. Bishop is on the air right now. Don't y'all dare go nowhere. We will be right back.
You say you sold out cause black women are loud and crass. What? And your precious white woman is the epitome of class? Are you so blind that you cannot see? That pale girl child ain't got nothing on me. For hundreds of years we have stood by your side, accepted your flaws and allowed you your pride, bore your children and cleaned up your mess, satisfied your lust and always settled for less. We have stayed in the background and allowed you to lead, trusting in your strength and ability to succeed, never getting the praise and credit
we deserve,
for having the courage, the will,
and the nerve,
for being the backbone that has kept it together, for you and our children in all kinds of weather. And now suddenly you say we're not good enough for you. We forced you to sell out because of the things we did. Well, where was that white woman when that white man you hate was
cracking the whip
in the boardroom, the warehouse, and
on the slave ship?
She stood by his side and didn't say a word, waiting for her own chance to rule and be heard. And now it's her you turn to and treat like a queen.
And me,
and my sisters
you choose to demean.
Well, hold up, wait a minute, and stop the damn bus. Stop. Because there are a few things I need to remind you about us. Listen up. A more beautiful creature God
Never made.
than an African woman, no matter her shade. High, yellow, red bone, or
Cocoa Brown.
we are more than worthy of wearing a crown. Ebony, mocha,
Or black as the night.
It is we who have always shared in your plight. We are passionate, spiritual,
Loving and kind.
a more generous heart you'll never find than the one that beats inside the body of a
Nubian Queen.
the hardest working, loving, giving woman you've ever seen. For we give and forgive until there's little left. Then we're forced to put up our guard to avoid your theft. The theft of our hearts and our trust, the very nature of our soul, by our so-called brothers who are just playing a role. And you wonder why some of us act as we do? Take a look in the mirror, because the answer is you. It's not enough that the white man has always tried to keep us down, but our own men act as though they'd love to see us drown. And white women have never invited us to join their equal rights struggle. So we're out here alone with a million things we juggle, raising the children that black men leave behind, and dealing with the racism of the daily corporate grind. Damn, it's no wonder some of us are loud. Hell, we're
Was trying to be heard.
in a world where everyone, including our men, ignore our every word. Where are the brothers who understand a black woman's worth? Right here, who will protect and stand by us, for we are the salt of this earth. We birthed you, raised you, and showered you with love. It was we who taught you to love your creator above. We gave you all we had and taught you to be men. Open your eyes, it is us, your black sisters.
Not Bo Derek's kind.
Rate a perfect 10. And one final word for the sellout who
Claim to be brothers.
when you turn your back on us, you disrespect your mothers. Did you hear that? This is a response to the sellout.
413-736-2781. That's a response to the sellout. Y'all know who you is. Once again, 413-736-2781 is the number here. Tell a friend, tell somebody. Bishop is on the air right now, and yeah, want to shout out and give a congratulations out to State Senator Adam Gomez, who successfully was re-elected to the Massachusetts State Senate, and to State Representative Bud Williams, who was also re-elected, and also to the challengers, Johnny Ray McKnight and City Councilor Marlo Brown, who participated in the democratic process. It takes heart to put yourself out there in front of the world, to be scrutinized and critiqued and all that good stuff. So anyone who offers their service to the public by way of running for public office deserves to be commended. Everybody is not willing to do that, and they were. So thank each of you for offering yourselves to the people. 413-736-2781. I think I see South Kakalaki in the house. I see Springfield, Massachusetts up in the building. Hey, baby girl. My daughter from the Chi is in the house. New York City is in the house. Nashville, Tennessee is up in the building. Good morning, good morning, good morning to every one of you that are riding with us. So, 14-year-old Colt Colt Gray, C-O-L-T, Gray, is the name of the young teenager who murdered multiple people at the Appalachian School in Georgia. 14-year-old white boy committed a heinous crime, murdering 4 people, injuring folks in a school shooting. And despite the brutality of his actions, the narrative in the media and his community has been predictable. It's been focused on his hard life, potential mental health issues. His aunt even got on Facebook and threatened to go full throttle if he was tried as an adult. Basically emphasizing his humanity and the need for understanding. You all need to be empathetic, and you need to have understanding of all of the trials and tribulations that he has gone through. And this portrayal is emblematic of a broader pattern in American society where white mass shooters are humanized while unarmed black victims of police violence are demonized and blamed for their own deaths. It is the same folks who will humanize a Colt Gray and a Dylan Roof and a James Egan Holmes who murder multiple people, who will blame a 12-year-old Tamir Rice who was playing with a toy in a park for his own murder. Because they don't see black people, black youth, black teenagers as human. So they're responsible for what white police officers do to them. While white folks who murder people, society is responsible for their hardships, for their hard life, for the culture that produced the atmosphere under which they could murder people. It's a stark contrast that reflects a deeply embedded systemic racism and anti-blackness in America that needs to be addressed. This narrative around white mass shooters in the media and the public discourse always seems to center around empathy and understanding. If only black victims could get the same treatment as white murderers. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Congratulations on your street naming
Thank you.
ceremony. And I would just like to say, Bishop, it's so true that there is a double standard for our culture of black males.
Absolutely.
I look back at Emmett Till, the little boy who was accused of, falsely whistling at a Caucasian, and the way they treated him with such, inhumanity and just, murderous spirit, they had in them. And it's the same culture today. It's the same way today. They want our males locked up in prison, and they let their males, white Europeans, go free and just to get off on the societal loopholes that they have set in place.
Absolutely.
Their, population, because they consider them precious and white supremacists. and their lives are worthy to them to be spared.
Absolutely.
Just destroyed. Our males are destroyed. And it is the other America that Dr. King was speaking about. If you could play some of that, the other America. Thank you, Bishop, for letting me share that.
All right.
Speaking the truth.
Appreciate the call. 413-736-2781. Yeah, as the caller said, they get empathy and understanding. I mean, they just murdered people, but they get empathy and understanding. We get murdered and we get demonized. They should have complied. None of the empathy that a white shooter gets. They should have complied. They shouldn't have done this. They shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't have ran. It's crazy the way people with a straight face will justify. And so, when good morning, Cleveland, Ohio, I see you. When I began talking about this, of course, typically I get accused by mostly racist white folks of being racist. It's like Malcolm said, they'll call you racist for condemning their racism. Why you gotta make it a racial thing? What does race have to do? Race has everything to do with it. Race has everything to do with why white murderers get arrested and taken out to eat, and unarmed black people get killed because the police so-called feared for their life. The interesting thing is, how is it that when you're arresting a white boy who has an automatic weapon, you never fear for your life? But when you're arresting a black person who has no weapon, you always fear for your life. How is that? Explain that to me. So yeah, it's not about race. It has nothing to, yes, it does. It does. So I put a short list, and it could have been a much, much, much longer list, contrasting white mass murderers who were treated gingerly by police and arrested, and black unarmed people who were killed. Colt Gray, this young boy in Georgia, murdered 4 people, injured 4 people. He was armed. He was taken alive and arrested. Dylan Roof murdered 9 black people in a church, injured 1 person. He was armed. He was taken alive and arrested. Peyton Gendron, y'all remember Buffalo, Top Supermarket. He murdered 10 black people, injured 3 others. He was armed. He was taken alive. Travis Renking murdered 4 people, injured 4 others. He was armed. He was taken alive. Let's go to the black side. Sean Bell, celebrating his engagement, getting ready to get married the next day. Unarmed, in his car with his friends. Police rained bullets on him for no reason. Shot 50 times. He had murdered nobody. He had injured nobody. He was killed. 50 bullets. Stephon Clark, walking home. Murdered nobody. Injured nobody. Shot 20 times in his grandmother's backyard and killed. Jalen Walker, pulled over for a traffic stop. A traffic stop. He had murdered nobody. He had injured nobody. Shot with 90 bullets. 90 bullets, unarmed. 90 bullets in Akron, Ohio. Sonia Massey called the police herself because she thought her home was being burglarized. She had murdered nobody. She had injured nobody. She was unarmed. She said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, and got shot in the head and murdered by police. They murder innocent, unarmed black people, but they manage to arrest armed white murderers. Tell me how race has nothing to do with that. Please tell me how race has nothing to do with that. The narrative surrounding white mass shooters in the media, again, it centers around empathy, understanding, mental health, the hard life. They don't focus on the brutality of their actions. They interview the people who humanize them. They were such a sweet boy. There's a concerted effort to humanize them, while there's always a concerted effort to demonize black victims. Botham Jean gets murdered by a cop who goes into his apartment. She's obviously drunk or high, because she thought she was going into her own apartment. Now listen, I don't care what y'all say. If she done mixed up where she lives, something going on with her. And she sees this black man sitting in his own living room. Now you know she was affected by some kind of narcotic, because if I walk into a place thinking it's my apartment, once I get inside, when I see it's not my furniture, it's not my pictures on the wall, you know what I'm saying? There are certain telltale signs that say, oh, I'm in the wrong spot. Because I know he didn't have the exact same furniture that she had. He didn't have the exact same decorations that she had. And she still couldn't figure out she was in the wrong house. She murders him while he's watching TV, sitting on his own couch. And you know what the media did? They didn't humanize him. They demonized him. They came out and said, oh, the police, first of all, the police, instead of searching the cop's apartment, the murderer's apartment, they issued a warrant to search his apartment. The innocent guy who was not under arrest, who was not being investigated, they searched his apartment. And the media came out and said, they found weed in Botham Jean's apartment. So immediately, trying to demonize the victim. That's what they do with black victims. In other words, they want you to think, oh, they were a bad person. They deserved what they got. They deserved it. You know, so don't feel bad about it. So that's what they do. That's what they do. They want empathy and understanding. They don't focus on the brutality of their actions. They want to humanize them. They want to present them as troubled, lonely, misunderstood. You know, and already this thing happened yesterday or the day before, and they got busy with this narrative right away. Right away. His case is no exception. His aunt's defense revolves around he had a difficult upbringing, painting a picture of a sweet boy who lost his way, because this framing shifts the focus away from his violent actions to his perceived victimhood. Shifts the focus away from why does he have an AR-15 at 14 years old in the first place. Shifts the focus away from the problem that we have with gun control in this nation, with the problem in some cultures, amongst non-melanated people, of having a cadre of weapons that children have easy access to. And this phenomenon is not unique for Colt Gray. Dylan Roof murdered 9 black churchgoers in Charleston. Adam Lanza killed 26 people at Sandy Hook Elementary School. Same thing. Media reports highlighted their mental health struggles, their difficult family dynamics, their social isolation. Dylan Roof, despite being an unrepentant white supremacist, was apprehended peacefully, given a meal from Burger King after his arrest. The discourse shifts towards understanding why they did it, rather than unequivocally condemning their actions. Now contrast this with the treatment of unarmed black victims. Rather than being afforded the benefit of the doubt, rather than being afforded empathy, they're vilified in both media and public opinion. Michael Brown in Ferguson, unarmed black teenager, shot by police, posthumously accused of robbery, portrayed as a thug, despite being unarmed at the time of his death. Tamir Rice, 12-year-old black boy, shot while playing with a toy gun, was depicted as large for his age. His mother's parenting was questioned. Ain't nobody questioned Colt Gray's mama's parenting yet. Trayvon Martin, 17-year-old black teenager, shot by a neighborhood vigilante, smeared with references to marijuana use, school suspensions, details that were irrelevant to the fact that he was an unarmed child walking home. The language used to describe black victims serves to justify their deaths, rather than discussing their potential, their humanity, the grief of their families. The narrative always becomes one that rationalizes the use of lethal force. And the result is a portrayal of black people as inherently dangerous, undeserving of sympathy or the benefit of the doubt. We see this played out over and over and over again. Always victimizing the victim, blaming the victim for their own murder. There is a racial double standard that extends beyond media portrayals into the realm of law enforcement, into the criminal justice system, whenever it comes to black folks that are the victims of these type of heinous crimes. Mass shooters, white mass shooters, despite being armed and dangerous, apprehended without incident. Dylan Roof, James Holmes, the theater shooter in Aurora, other white perpetrators taken into custody alive, allowing them to stand trial, providing them with opportunities to justify their actions. But in contrast, black individuals, when unarmed, are often met with immediate deadly force by police. Tamir Rice was shot within 2 seconds after the police. As a matter of fact, the police car was still rolling to a stop when the cop shot him. That's how quickly. They rolled up on him and shot him. Okay? Immediate deadly force. George Floyd, who was accused of using a counterfeit bill, a $20 bill, suffocated to death by a cop who knelt on his neck for over 9 minutes. Eric Garner, who allegedly sold loose cigarettes, put in a chokehold and died gasping, "I can't breathe," unarmed. Even if he was guilty of selling loose cigarettes, that's not punishable by death. Philando Castile, shot and killed during a routine traffic stop despite informing the officer that he was legally, did you understand what I said? He was legally carrying a firearm. And of course, you know, the NRA, yeah, you know they did nothing, right? You understand that, right? The NRA did nothing in terms of protecting or speaking out in support of Philando Castile. They always talk about the rights of gun owners, but whenever those gun owners, those legal gun owners are black, the NRA gets awfully quiet. You ever notice that? These cases and countless others, they reflect a consistent pattern. Armed white murderers are subdued and arrested, while unarmed black people are killed. Say that again. Armed white murderers are subdued and arrested, while unarmed black people are killed. And these discrepancies are not isolated incidents. They're not the exceptions. It is the rule. Okay? They are indicative of the type of systemic racism that permeates American society. The differences in how white and black individuals are portrayed in the media and treated by law enforcement reflect broad societal biases that dehumanize black people and render their pain and suffering as invisible. And this is rooted in a historic legacy of white supremacy and anti-black racism that has shaped American institutions, from the criminal justice system to the educational system to the media and every other facet of American life. Just do a Google search. Just do a Google search on Colt Gray. Look at all the references to how he was a sweet boy, how he was troubled. Try to find where somebody's blaming his parents. Try to find where somebody's criticizing his mama. Try to find where somebody's blaming his parents for the fact that he had a gun in the first place at 14 years old. You know, they blamed Tamir Rice's mama for him having a toy gun. Did you hear what I said? They blamed his mama for him having a toy gun. They're not going to blame Colt Gray's mama for him having a real gun that killed real people. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Bishop. How you doing?
Good. You?
Blessed to hear you again.
Yes, sir.
People's got to realize Trump's is trying to run for office, and he's saying, let's make America great again. This is exactly what he's talking about, where it's legalized to kill black people where you ain't got to be responsible for it. That's what let's make America great again is. Because I never remember when it was great for black people. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, hi. Is that 90.7?
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah, okay. So I was basically calling. I didn't even know if you guys were accepting any calls, but in reference to the conversation that is being discussed about police brutality and or white folks not being treated the same after doing a crime as a black person that's doing lesser crime.
Uh-huh.
So basically, I'm going to kind of piggyback on that subject because it's not going to be quite on that point. And my point that I wanted to make is that I noticed that, as far as black police officers go, that type of thing, you would think they would band together to make sure something like this stops. Now, I don't know what's going on within the police department. I'm worrying that they stay hush-mouthed about it. But evidently, it's about some sort of intimidation, intimidated somehow, some way or another, whether it's about keeping a job, whether or not if they speak against their own uniforms, they may get harassed or they may end up getting in a situation where they may get injured. In other words, an ambush type of situation. I don't know. That's all just speculations. I'm just saying. But my biggest thing is that, when a lot of these murders was going on, my opinion, that was the racist part within the police department, because there are racist individuals in the police department, just like there's racist individuals in the United States, but you cannot put it on the government. It's the individuals within the United States. You know what I mean? Government has opportunities, and
I don't know if I agree with that point. There are individual races, but racism is systemic in the U.S. It's systemic in the government. It's systemic in every institution in America, because often what people try to do is they try to blame racist actions on individual people. And that's where you get the narrative, America's not a racist country. It's just a group of individuals that are racist. No, America is systemically racist.
Right. And I don't want to insinuate that, racism is not a problem in America, in the United States, as opposed to other places. I don't want to insinuate that. But I do know that some of the reasons why it's still people are still getting away with racist acts is a lot to do with, like you said, some of the racist things that are happening are dismissed, as a misdemeanor type of scenario. They're dismissed. They don't acknowledge the fact of it being a racist action, and with anybody with any common sense knows that, for the example that you gave, unarmed people getting killed and murdered, and not even given a chance because of simple compassion or empathy and wanting to help this individual with whatever mental health is going on in their situation. Okay, all that stuff is true. I see it myself. I get that. But my thing is that different ethnics, when they go into the police department, they go in there in numbers, and the police department, believe it or not, and I know you believe this, they have more power based on the amount of ethnics that are in there. So unfortunately, there probably are a lot of young black kids, and there are some black, people on the police force in a lot of different places, more so than others. Atlanta, Georgia, some of the bigger metropolitan black populated cities, they do have a lot of black police officers there. And I don't know if the same situation is going on because I don't live there. But I will say that, I think we need more young black people to get in the police force. It's so that we can make changes because numbers make the difference.
Well, I would agree. I would agree that representation is important. However, I often say that black faces in white spaces does very little to dissipate white supremacy and systemic racism. That's a matter of policy. That's a matter of things that are codified into policy and law that dictate actions and penalties if those actions are not correct. So that's why we can have a bunch of black cops like you just alluded to in some of these police forces who will sit silently while these racist actions happen because, of course, they are powerless to do anything about it, and they risk their own safety, their own jobs and livelihood if they speak against it. Hence the blue wall of silence and all of those things that allow these actions to continue unchecked from within. Let me get One Love Black in the space. You got the mic, One Love.
Grand Rising, Bishop, Grand Rising to the space and to the nation on your show. I heard the last caller, and I'm gonna agree with you on this. I believe in 14A over 2A, or 2A over 14A, and I'll say this: that young man and his family seems to have the conditional cognitive function of issues where no one's challenging, as you said, the single white mother or the abusive single white father, and how it is that the police knew
right
a year ago. They knew a year ago
right
that this domestic terrorist was a potential threat, as they often do. And instead of them protecting citizens, protecting citizens of that city and that area, they allow this to play out. And that seems to be an issue even across the country in these police departments. They'll say, well, we're going to have to wait till someone does something. And when they do something, they try to kick glove it and revert to, oh, it was a mental issue. No, they knew exactly what they were doing. They planned to do what they were doing, and you knew it. That is a disregard of life. They didn't want to protect the citizens, and they should be held accountable. His mother, the father, and their child should be held accountable for their actions and for their actions of lack. And as they do us, the same should apply.
Absolutely.
And I'll land.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that point up. 13 months ago, just a year ago, this kid was investigated for making threats to shoot up the school. He was already on the FBI radar. They already knew he was a problem. Now, what do you think would have happened if a black boy had threatened to shoot up a school? You think he'd still be going to that school? I mean, come on, man. It was a gross abdication of responsibility. It was a failure by law enforcement. And it underscores the hypocrisy of America when the narrative centers around, oh, he was troubled. Oh, mental health. The biased portrayal of crime and policing reinforces harmful stereotypes that paint black people as inherently criminal or violent, which in turn justifies over-policing and state-sanctioned violence. It's a cyclical pattern that perpetuates a racial hierarchy where white lives are valued and black lives are disposable. There are systemic changes that are needed that go way beyond just representation in these racist institutions. Law enforcement needs to be reformed to ensure accountability and transparency. There needs to be an end to qualified immunity, period. There needs to be an implementation of independent oversight. Police should be held accountable. They're supposedly trained in de-escalation, and they manage to employ it quite successfully when arresting white murderers. And the media has to be held accountable for their continued perpetuation of racial biases in their coverage of crime and policing. These news organizations are not committed to an ethical standard as they pretend that they are. They are not committed to ethical journalism. If you're going to humanize one, you ought to humanize all individuals. You ought to avoid biased language that devalues black lives. And that includes providing context, avoiding victim blaming, and giving voice to marginalized communities. There has to be a cultural shift in America that challenges anti-blackness in all its forms. And I know that involves education reform, that centers on the history of black people in America that they're trying to abolish from the school system. It involves campaigns that challenge racial stereotypes and policies that promote economic and social equity. This humanization of white mass shooters like Colt Gray and the demonization of unarmed black victims are really just consistent and stark reminders of America's enduring legacy of racism and anti-blackness. These double standards are not just narratives, they are life and death issues that shape the experiences of millions of people. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Bishop. How are you? I am so sorry to hear this kind of conversation year in and year out. This time next year, you'll be talking the same thing, God will, because there's no help, there's no backing, there's no coalition. It's always you, and then what you're advocating for, that'll never happen. Because look who's attacking you on these social media, Facebook and what have you. We're not going to have no critical race theory in schools, because look who's teaching our children, our babies. That's not going to happen. The only way that we'll have what we need is, like you said, for the system to be totally destroyed. That's it.
Absolutely agree and appreciate your call. Listen, folks, I got to move out the way. Coming up at 9 o'clock, Mr. Don Felton is coming with mid-morning jazz and great black music. He's going to make it smooth and he's going to make it personal. So keep your dial locked right here on 90.7. Once again, Hope Fest kicks off tomorrow, 12 noon to 5, right there on the grounds of the Spring of Hope Church, 35 Alden Street, right there at Six Corners. Entertainment, all that good stuff. Street naming ceremony at 3 p.m. And check us out tonight for the final night of our Holy Convocation. It's been a pleasure being with you. Stay tuned for Don Felton. Until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember, God loves you, and so do I. Peace and blessings.